alone on a road trip and had been driving for hours. I was tired and needed to use the bathroom badly. It was nighttime and there was no way I was gonna pull over to relieve myself in the dark in a place I wasn't familiar with. I saw a sign for a rest stop and decided to pull over. It was in a sketchy part of an old rundown city, but at this point my bladder was about to burst, so I didn't mind. As I walked into the restroom, I immediately felt uneasy. The lights flickered, and the air smelled of dried up piss and feces. I tried to shake off the feeling and headed to the first stall. As soon as I closed the door, I heard a strange noise. It sounded like someone was breathing heavily in the stall next to me. I froze, unsure of what to do. Then I heard a tapping on the stall door. I hesitated for a moment before asking, "Is everything okay?" There was no response. The breathing became more labored. I started to panic and quickly finished up. As I was washing my hands, I looked in the mirror to keep an eye on the stall that was next to the one I used. Suddenly, the stall door swung open, and out comes this grotesquely thin woman, standing there but hunched over forward. I couldn't believe what I just saw. I turned around to get a better look at her. Her hair was a mess, like she hadn't showered in weeks. She smelled like it too. Her arms were covered in scabs and scars. She was just standing there, groaning. I didn't wait for her to look up. I rushed out of the restroom, my heart racing. As I ran to my car, I was still trying to process what I just saw. My car wasn't too far from the restroom entrance, so I was fumbling at pressing the open door button on my car key fob, thinking that she might catch up to me. When I finally got in my car, my hands were shaking as I gripped on the steering wheel. I was breathing like I had just run a whole track when it was just a few steps I took. As I looked back at the restroom, I saw the woman again, standing in the doorway, but still hunched over. I stepped on the gas and sped away as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something truly terrifying. Then I read this news article the other day about a new street drug called Trank. The drug is supposed to be so potent that it turns its users into real-life zombies. I saw a picture of an addict who was high off Trank, and it gave me chills. The addict was hunched over, just like the woman I saw in the restroom. I read that another side effect of the drug was scabbing and skin infections. Then it all made sense to me. The woman I came across at the rest stop was strung out on Trank, and I was unlucky enough to come across her while she was getting high in the restroom stall. To this day, I can't use a public restroom without remembering the woman I encountered that night. The fear has stayed with me, and I always make sure to avoid rest stops whenever possible. I never thought that using a public restroom could be such a terrifying experience, but that's exactly what happened to me. It was a beautiful day. I was out hiking with a friend. It was the start of spring, and we had just experienced one of the harshest winters we've ever had in a long time in that area. Most of the snow had melted away, and the forest was so lush and green. The birds were chirping, and the whole forest just felt so alive. Me and my friend made it to a remote part of the forest where a backcountry campsite was located. We decided to rest a bit at the campsite and continue on with our hike after. When we got there, I needed to use the restroom. Fortunately, there was a vault toilet located at the site. We set our bags on a bench. Then I made my way to the bathroom, leaving my buddy at the bench with our bags. As I approached the restroom, I saw a pair of homemade skis sitting up against the exterior, which I found to be strange. I wasn't sure if it was occupied by someone, and they left their skis out. I then made my way to the door. As I was about to grab the handle, I saw a message scratched onto the door. When I read it, my heart nearly stopped. The message read, "Dead hiker inside. Call cops. No joke." I was shocked, not knowing if it was true or just some sick prank. I had to find out. I grabbed the door to pull it open, but it was locked from the inside. I was then hit by an awful stench. I could also hear the sound of flies on the inside of the bathroom. I stumbled back in shock and ran to my friend who was waiting for me at the bench. He saw how pale I was and asked me what was wrong. I told him there was a dead body in the restroom and we had to call the cops. He ran to the bathroom to see for himself. I stayed behind at the bench, still shocked at what I had just read. I watched as he made his way to the restroom. He disappeared from my view as he made his way to the door. A few seconds later, he came back running, hand over his mouth. He yelled, "Let's go." We grabbed our bags and ran as fast as we could back to our car. We called 911 once we got service on our phones. We frantically told the operator about the dead hiker in the vault restroom at the campsite. We found out later that the hiker was stranded at the restroom during a snowstorm and had died due to hypothermia, compounded by starvation and dehydration. It turns out he was a very experienced hiker who had been on many solo hiking trips. That winter, he got caught in a snowstorm and was having trouble making it back, so he sought refuge in the restroom, hoping that someone would come and look for him, but no one ever did. I'm grateful that in his final act before dying, he scratched that message on the door, ensuring that no one would stumble across his dead body and get traumatized. It shows what a good person he was and how considerate he was to others. May he rest in peace. I remember the day that I stumbled upon one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. It all started when I was out with some friends and nature called. I had to use the public bathroom in the park. As I walked in, I was hit by an overwhelming stench that made me gag. The walls were stained with dirt, and the tiles were cracked and chipped. It was clear that no one had taken care of this bathroom in a long time. I walked into one of the stalls and tried to do my business as quickly as possible. Suddenly, the toilet next to me flushed, causing me to jump in my seat. I nervously peered under the stall wall next to me, but saw no one. I froze, my heart racing as I realized that I was not alone. My mind raced with the thought of who could be in the stall next to me. I was supposed to finish up as quickly as possible, but I decided to wait for the other person to leave before me. So I just sat there and waited some more. But the bathroom had grown quiet again. All I could hear was the buzz from the fluorescent lamp above. I held my breath while listening carefully for the person in the next stall to leave. While sitting there, I couldn't shake this feeling of being watched. I then looked up toward the top of the stall wall and nearly had a heart attack. Looking down at me was a smiling woman. Her eyes were wide open and had a crazy look. Her hair was matted and most of her teeth were missing. Her hand reaching out as if she was about to touch my head. I screamed, kicked the stall door open, and ran out of there as fast as I could. I could hear the woman shout, "Hey," as I ran out of the door, but I wasn't in the mood for conversation. I made my way back to my friends and told them we had to go. They kept asking me why and what happened, but I just kept pushing them towards the car, on the verge of tears. I didn't even want to look back at the bathroom. I just wanted to get as far away as possible. I told my friends what happened as we drove away. To this day, I can never forget that terrifying experience I had. I still avoid public restrooms whenever possible. for fear that I might encounter that crazy lady once again. Hope you guys enjoyed the stories that I had for you in this video, and if you did, please like this video and subscribe to this channel, Fairy Tale Phobia. It really helps out a starting and new channel like mine, and I'll be working on more stories for you guys. So till next time, take care.